Okay, guys, I want to talk about something that we talked about on Wednesday's podcast. Jonathan Galt read some article, and Jakob Ingebrigtsen said, I may not do this forever. I may retire soon. Come on. I was thinking about this some more. John said, he might set the world record and walk away. That's ridiculous. Do you guys realize how young he is right now?
Yeah, he's 21.
Yeah, just turned 21 after the Olympics. So he won Olympic gold at 20. There's no way in hell he should retire before 2028 Olympics at the earliest. Now, no man has ever won 3 Olympic 1500 meter titles. In fact, only one man has won 2. So he could make history, Seb Coe, he could equal Seb Coe in 2004 and surpass it in 2028. So why wouldn't he at least want to do that? And then if you've won 3 golds in a row, why not keep going? Do you guys realize how rare it is to be the best in the world at something 3 times in a row in the Olympic cycle? It never, almost ever happens. That's the question I have for you. Here's the trivia question. How many track athletes have won 3 Olympic gold medals in a row? Jonathan Galt, please give me your answer.
I think Bolt's the only one, right?
Folks, you can't. That's why Jonathan Galt is our A staff writer. Yes. Notice I said track. I thought I would get you. Track and field. If I said track and field, there's a number of people that have won 3. But in the track, only one human being has won 3 Olympic gold medals in the same event. So if he wins 3 in 2028 at the age of 27, he's got to go to 2032 when he's 31. And then if you've won 4, which you've equaled Al Order and Carl Lewis, then you've got to go for 5. So here we go, folks. This is the list of the people that have won 4 golds in a row. Only 2 people on it, Carl Lewis and Al Order. 3 golds in a row. There's only 7 people on that list. So only 9 human beings have been able to win the same event at the Olympics 3 times in a row, which is amazing. And 2 of them were in 1900 and 1908. So just... now we don't know if he's going to be at this level. Yeah, if he's not doing that well, obviously, when he's not medaling, go ahead and quit. But come on, he's not going to quit if he got the opportunity to make history like that.
Can we go back to that graphic? Was the standing high and long jump, was that like a combined event?
No, he actually, the great Ray Uri, won it 3 times in the standing high jump in a row, and also 3 times in the standing long jump, kind of like Bolt winning it in the 100 and 200. He also won a triple jump gold, maybe 2, but I know he did not win 3 of those. So good catch there, Weldon.
Well, I'm very impressed by this graphic. Not only that Robert took the time to type it up and everything and make it look nice, the spelling looked exceptional. I thought with Wladchik and Kozeniowski and Al Order, I thought there would be at least one spelling mistake in there. I didn't find any.
I took a risk in not running it by you, but yeah. So do you guys agree with me? I mean, there's no way Ingebrigtsen's retiring, but certainly not before LA. There's 0 chance this happens.
All right, you're saying certainly. Robert, how many times have you ever talked to this guy? Like, do you know what he's thinking? The Olympics is not the be-all, end-all for everyone. Yes, it is the peak of the pinnacle of the sport, but like, people don't just say, "Oh, well, based on how I do at the Olympics, that's how I'm going to determine my career." Some people might think that way, but not everyone. We don't know. I mean, okay, Ashton Eaton. He went back-to-back in the Olympic decathlon. He won in 2012 and 2016. He was 28 years old, and he retired after winning in 2016. He could have been the first decathlete ever to win 3 straight, but did he pursue that? No. So I think it all depends on people's timelines. I mean, let's say that Ingebrigtsen wins the Olympic gold medal in Paris, and in between now and then, he sets the world record. He might think 2 Olympic gold medals, world record in the 1500, I'm good. No. I don't think you can't just ascribe to people. This is something you do a lot, is you think, this is how I would think about it, therefore this is how they will act. But people are different. They have different priorities. So I don't think we can say definitively what he's going to do.
Now, I plead guilty to that. And that's because I was raised with an identical twin. You can see him right next to me, whereas you were there. And I assume growing up, I thought everyone in the world was like me because the only person that I was around was exactly like me. So that I do think that. But what I'm saying is my prediction, the whole reason this whole segment was my prediction is there's no chance he's going to retire before 28 because the opportunity to make history and to be the first human being to win 3 Olympic 1500s in a row is going to be too much. He'd only be 27. If he wants to retire then, that's fine. But I would go for one more at 31 just to equal out Order in Carl Lewis. And then you're tempted to go to 35. It's not like 35 is old. I know when you're 20, now 21, you think 35 is so old. But hey, I'm 48. 35 isn't old. So I actually like the fact that he doesn't want to run for the rest of his life. Like, I don't get why these people are hanging on, if you're not better than you used to be, and if you're not the best in the world, it's kind of like, what's the motivation? So I don't get why people are hanging on as their performance is declining unless they need the money. And this guy's not going to need the money. So my prediction is there's no chance in hell that he retires before the age of 2028. But I also predicted that Usain Bolt would come back from retirement. I thought he wouldn't like being away from the sport, and I've been wrong on that. So who knows? We shall see.
Okay. We did receive an email. This wasn't planned. Just hit the inbox 1 hour ago from Michael M. And he said, if you don't know what we're talking about, Nick Willis on last Wednesday's podcast, check out the Let'sRun.com Track Talk podcast. Nick, who's been around, run sub 4 for 19 straight years, said, look, I don't see how Jakob keeps going. Hello. Hey, Let's Run team. Had a few thoughts about what Nick Willis said on your podcast about Ingebrigtsen. Willis came off as pretty ignorant. Just because Willis has had a long career and attributes it to this or that, he now thinks he has the exact recipe for how to have a long career. He may be onto a few things, but we all know genetics is probably the biggest factor in athletic success and staying healthy. Building off the first point, I love how just because Nick can't imagine handling the workload and training regime of the Ingebrigtsens, it means that it can't work and will make him blow up in the long run. Willis questions Jakob's motivation moving forward because of his early success and henceforth wealth. Should we also question Patrick Mahomes right now? He signed a massive contract after achieving MVP, Super Bowl in his first 3 years. Do people question Tom Brady after the first or second Super Bowl? Tiger Woods in 2000 after he began dominating the majors and making money? What do you guys think about that logic?
I think it's great. It's exactly the same logic I agree with. And look, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. The guy's 21 years old. Like, do we need to be talking about retirement right now? I just feel like it's kind of a ridiculous discussion to begin with.
But in all fairness, Robert, have you heard of Herb Elliott?
Yes, I have. Man that never lost a 1,500-meter race in his life, I believe is the case.
Yes, the 1960 Olympic champion, retired at the age of 22.
I will point out that back then they were not making massive amounts of money. So I actually like this analogy about the money. Like, the NFL stars don't retire when they get money. So why would a track athlete? The biggest difference, though, between track and the NFL is the fact that track is a year-long commitment for your body. NFL, you can take a couple of months off and get out of shape and just chill. It's harder to do that for track and field. So we shall see. Let's move on and talk about...
One more thing on Herb Elliott. Did you guys know he was the CEO of Puma North America?
I didn't know that until 10 minutes ago when I was on his Wikipedia page.
Fascinating. And I know we got Aussie listeners to this podcast because one of them wanted us to cover the Melbourne Marathon, which happened last week. 2 Aussies win because people aren't allowed to go into Australia right now. Did you guys know until like last week also, like, you couldn't go from like one state in Australia to another state? Pretty crazy. So, like, was that race open to all Aussies? That's a side point. But is like Herb Elliott in good mental health? Like, we got to have him on the podcast. I think we got to have just some legends before they can no longer talk, because we all have heard of Herb Elliott, but at least in America, his story isn't well known. I think that would be great to try to get on the podcast. So any Aussies out there know about Herb Elliott's mental acumen, let us know. Hope he's doing great. Full health. Carry on, Robert. If you like this commentary, it's part of the Let'sRun.com Supporters Club Friday 15 podcast. Go to Let'sRun.com/subscribe.